This is 2 Minutes Together, a ministry of Central Lutheran Church, Eugene, Oregon, and I'm Vicar Ben Nicodemus. This week, we are beginning the season of Lent. Lent is a season that is somewhat complicated in the church's history and somewhat complicated for Lutherans. It began in the 3rd century as a preparation for baptism. There was a 40-day time period where new members of the church would go through training and development and what we would call formation. And then on Easter Sunday, there would be a great baptism of all the new members together. And when they did that, it wasn't just the new members who prepared for baptism, but the whole congregation would get together and remind themselves of what their baptism was and why it mattered. Really, what they were looking at is, who are we as humans before God? Now, by the 11th century, Lent became far more about penance and a feeling of guilt about what it is that we have done as humans in our sinfulness that Christ had to suffer to solve. That focus, particularly for those of you who might have a Roman Catholic background, might be the more familiar to you. But really, both of those attitudes are kind of either side of the same coin. They're looking at who are we before God? Who are we as humans? On Ash Wednesday, as we begin Lent, we will be reminding ourselves that we are dust, and to dust we shall return, saying we're humans, we're mortal. Paul says, of course, part of humanity is that we do live in this present evil age. Not everything is just okay in the world. There is sinfulness. However, Paul also says that because of the work of Christ, we are also the new creation in Galatians chapter 6. Not we will be the new creation, not that the whole creation is slowly getting better in order to, no, right now you are the new creation. To be a human before God ought not be something that we feel just guilt about and shame. Instead, you might pause and say, maybe the right thing for us to be is recognizing that we're humans before God. We're saying we know who we are and we know who God is, and that's a good thing. Lent shouldn't be a moment where we are ashamed of our identities. It should be a moment where we see God's acceptance of our identities. Because of Christ's incarnation, God has embraced humanity as it is, not when it's perfected in the future, right now as it is. In our humanness, in our mortality, that's where we see Christ in our lives. This has been 2 Minutes Together. I'm Vicar Ben.